Hey, ghouls, gals, creeps, mutants. So I want to take a second here, real quick, to say thank you one more time myself to all of you amazing listeners for how supportive you've been of Punk Rock Horror Podcast for these past few years that we've been around. It definitely means a lot to us, and it's definitely helped us get past over 100 episodes. And the question would be to that is, would we still have done it? Whether or not we weren't getting good reception or whether or not we didn't have a following, and the answer is maybe on one end we would say yes, we would, because we do enjoy doing this, but I also think the other answer would have to be no too, just because it can be hard to do this sometimes because you don't know who is listening to the show. And when we do get responses on our LPC questions or anything like that, it means a lot to us. Or when we do just have listeners that will just reach out to us and say, hey, this show means a lot to me, you guys keep me laughing, like stuff like that means the world to us, and we do take it to heart, and we take it seriously, and it helps keep pushing us forward. So yeah, I hope that kind of answers that question. But anyways, with that being said, we did have, for the listener participation for this past Monday, what we did is we asked, listeners to send in a testimonial, recorded or written, and we included in the Monday's episode. We didn't really get that many responses, so we wanted to wait just a few more days after the Monday episode came out to see if anybody sent something in. And we still didn't get too much, and that's okay. We were well aware of how many people might send stuff in and wouldn't send stuff in. Not a big deal. However, we did actually get one testimonial from our music producer, Big Boot Studio, and so we're going to play it here after this, and then we'll jump into the episode. But again, I just want to say thank you so much, ghouls, gals, creeps, and mutants, for everything you've done. We're working hard at standing out and being a standout podcast. And if there are things that you would like to see us improve on, or not change, the best way to do that is, if you can't send us an email, let us know on iTunes review, let us know in the YouTube comment descriptions of any of our videos. Let us know. We are reading these things, we are listening to them, and we are taking them in. So again, thank you so much, and let's jump into it.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's me, Leo, otherwise known as Big Boot Studio. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you why I like the Punk Rock Horror Podcast. Besides having the same great taste in music and movies, Matt and Cody provide a very home-like, casual environment. When I'm listening to these two guys go off on random tangents, it feels like you're listening to your two best friends bicker. You just sit around and laugh at whatever the fuck they're going on about. It's pretty much hanging out with two friends for about 45 minutes at a time. While I started listening last year for the horror reviews, I've stayed a loyal fan for their great personalities. Congratulations on the 100 episodes, boys! Here's to 100 more! And that's it.
Recently, I've been testing Aaron's ability to watch horror. And the only reason I've been doing that is because there's been a few times where I've been doing movie reviews where she actually tried sneaking a peek at what I'm watching, even after she's gone to bed.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, well, she's getting more curious, and I've caught her just staying there watching what I'm watching, and as that's going on, I kind of decided, okay, let's see how far this has gotten. Let's see how much horror she can actually do.
Yeah.
So I decided, I've never seen it before, but I decided to start watching Little Monsters with her. It's a Hulu.
Oh, I almost started watching that.
Yeah, it's the one with Josh Gad and Lupita Nyong'o. I think I'm saying her name right.
Yeah. Josh Gad gets offed horribly.
We didn't get to that part yet.
It's
but
great.
So I've never seen it before. We're watching it, and I have to talk with her beforehand. I'm like, okay, so if you see blood, is it real? She's like, no. I'm like, right. But why is it not real? And she's like, because it's fake. I'm like, exactly. So if you see someone get hurt and they start bleeding, is that real? She's like, no. I'm like, why? Because it's fake. So we have this whole conversation. She knows that what happens in the movie is fake. So it gets to the first scene where like the first zombie, I think like a zombie's eating like an animal. Mm-hmm. I think that's like the first like sign of the zombie in the movie.
Yeah.
It's either that or he's eating a person. And it's just like Erin's like, she's in the movie. She's invested up to that point, and then she's just like, can we watch something else? So I was like, okay. And I was like, oh crap, I really, screwed the pooch on this one. I jumped her way into this. I should have done something far more tamer because I thought she could handle it because she was, like I said, she was watching all the heavier stuff I was watching. I just didn't notice that she was doing it until like I turned around or I got up to go to the bathroom. And then, so I was like, okay, we'll watch something else. So we started watching a cartoon. I don't even remember what we watched. But then, like, during the middle of the cartoon, she's like, can we watch Little Monsters again? I was like, but you said you were scared of it, I thought. And she's just like, I was, but I'm not now.
She just needed a quick break.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, I'm ready now.
So we started watching it again, and then there's a scene where like Lupita Nyong'o's character is trying to get all the kids safe in the gift shop.
Yeah.
And that's the first time they like see Josh Gad's character act, like in the real world, not being a child star in the movie. Yeah, being a douchey, and he's like, fuck you, get the fuck away from here. He's like, I don't give a fuck about your kids. And I'm like,
Olaf, no.
And just right, like Aaron, and I didn't know that part was coming up. I should have seen it happening, and Aaron was there for that, and I'm just like, all right, well, I think we're done. But it was funny because, like, I think I got distracted or something because I forgot to turn off the movie, and I got to the scene where they were fighting, where Josh Gad's fighting with the other guy in the movie, and they're like, just tussling around, beat each other up, and she's just like laughing her ass off the entire time during that scene. And so I was just like, success, kind of, maybe
Progress.
Down? Yeah,
progress.
So yeah,
nice.
And with that being said, welcome back to the Punk Rock Horror Podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Cody.
And today, we are here to remind you, well, what should we remind you of? Well,
wash your hands.
Wash your hands, yes. Wash your hands. Even when there isn't an epidemic of a viral outbreak,
you should wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
It's important.
I've seen men who I've shared restrooms with.
You see men?
Yep. I see men, and then I see men.
Okay.
I see men on the sea. Okay. I don't know where I'm going to go with that.
I see men to see men on the seamen.
On the seashore.
With other seamen.
Selling seashells.
For seamen. Jizz.
But I get so grossed out when I go to public bathrooms and like dudes don't they pee and they don't wash their hands. I'm like, you're a fucking monster.
Dude, whenever I go to the public bathroom, I wash my hands first, I go, and then I wash my hands again. Think about it. I'm touching my dick. I don't know what's on my own hands from everything else throughout the day.
Right.
I'm going to want to wash my hands before I touch it.
That's happened to me. I feel that.
Yeah.
After doing a very dirty job, I'm like, I'm not touching my weenus.
No, this isn't happening right now, man. I want to use it again.
I'm not touching my weenus or my penis. And we are now here live, straight from Gorehound's Playground.
Not live for you, though.
Live for us, but for you, this is recorded, and now you're watching this. So, Gorehound's Playground still up here in Fort Collins, Colorado. Big shout out to Jeff. Check out Gorehound's Playground. If you're around this part of town, please do so. It's an amazing.
You can see some really cool stuff in the background.
I would move the camera, but I don't want to upset the view I have for it. And also, that would be really obnoxious.
Yeah.
But still, if you're on Instagram, I'll be actually posting a lot of pictures of what Gorehounds looks like, so make sure you check that out. I mean, again, by the time you probably see this, those pictures have already gone, or they're just kind of in our whole feed, so go check them out.
Check out our Instagram for pictures.
Exactly. That as well, also being said, check out this sweet merch, repping the Gorehounds merch.
Rugrats for life.
Rugrats for life. Rugrats or die.
Dude, I'm super excited about Netflix though with that Nickelodeon deal.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of Rugrats, because starting in the summer, that's when the deal's really gonna go forward, and Nickelodeon's gonna be able to put even more stuff on Netflix.
Yeah.
Guess what's coming?
I don't know.
Avatar: Last Airbender.
Oh yeah.
I'm so excited about that because I like that show, but I've never actually watched the entire show through the entire show.
Man, you're missing
I watched chunks. I know. I watched chunks about. Okay. The lump kind of ruined it for me. So it took a while. But yeah, no, I'm excited about because that's going to be on there. All the good SpongeBob is going to be on there.
Oh, the good SpongeBob.
Yeah, the good SpongeBob.
They're doing another SpongeBob story talking about
also,
baby SpongeBob.
And then just as no.
Yeah.
But
Gotta jump in that baby craze.
Oh my god. But one thing I was super excited that I saw with Disney Plus though was Proud Family's getting a redo.
Yeah.
They're doing another season of it and I loved that show.
I mean, I don't know. Disney's kind of being weird with that whole streaming service. Because now the Obi-Wan show is actually like kind of up in the air. Because they had to go back.
Really?
Yeah, because they had a script. Decided they didn't like the script. And then I guess like Ewan McGregor's fighting with the director a lot about that said script. So they go back to rewriting the script, and now it's just kind of like, maybe?
I wonder if Rise of Skywalker had anything to do with it.
Oh, I have no idea.
So I do enjoy Rise of Skywalker, but it did change a lot of the lore too.
Yeah.
But it had to because of everything that happened with Jedi. Mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm. So it's like, I wonder if that kind of caused some...
Right.
flux, and they're like, we got to add some things or change some things because we have to now redo Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
We'll see. I don't know.
See. Yeah,
if it comes out, great. If not, oh well. Like, I'm at a point where I'm just like, I could take a break from Star Wars for a little bit. I love it because I could take a break from new Star Wars stuff, mostly because, like, except for Mandalorian, because I'm starting to slowly get Dev into it.
Yeah.
Because she really loved The Mandalorian. She actually really enjoyed watching me play Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm thinking she's actually a Star Wars fan. So I'm just like, okay, we got a lot to cover.
Gotta go. Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, the entire Clone Wars animated series, Revenge of the Sith, then the original trilogy, and then the new trilogy. Got a lot to go through.
Yeah, we're just going to do the movies. I'm not going to put her through all the shows. The shows will be kind of like if she feels like it for Clone Wars. But the movies wise, I think. And honestly, I could actually see Dev liking the prequels more than the other ones.
I mean, I don't hate the prequels as much anymore.
I don't either. I actually went back and rewatched the prequels after... I think with Skywalker kind of eased what happens in the prequels.
Yeah.
Made a lot more sense. So...
I don't know.
There it is. I've come to enjoy... Except Clone Wars. The second one could go fucking so. It's so boring. Sand.
Really?
Sand.
I mean,
hate sand.
Once it got to the part with like where they're actually fighting that weird gladiator scene, like actually...
It's so long to get there.
I know.
Okay, it's Star Wars, man. That should have been like opening scene.
I'm pretty positive that's why people didn't like the prequels, though, because it was mostly like the politics between the Galactic Republic and the Separatists.
Well, okay, the first one, though, I kind of understand having a little bit more politics, because you're dealing with the kid, and it's Obi-Wan becoming himself and stuff like that. So I understood a little bit more there. The second one, though, it's called The Clone Wars. I don't want to see the clone talks.
Well, I think what people get misconstrued on is that the Clone Wars or Attack of the Clones, because that's
Attack of the Clones.
because that's what it focuses on is Attack of the Clones and Order 66, and because you're supposed to watch, or no, I think that happens in episode 3.
Episode 3 is Order 66.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know why I thought it happened in episode 2.
No, because episode 2...
But no, yeah, so like Attack of the Clones was supposed to be the intro to kind of like the whole war and like why things are getting more intense between the Separatists and the Galactic Republic. And then the whole Clone Wars series shows like all the battles.
Yeah, the war.
The actual war. Because like on one hand, I get why they did the series, because when you actually start watching the entire Clone Wars series, the lore that they introduce into the universe makes sense as to why they couldn't do it into a movie.
Oh, no, I'm sure.
Yeah,
but it's like still, you just want a little bit more action in your Star
Wars
movie.
No, like, because like once they get to like season 4 of the Clone Wars, like almost every story they have is divided up between 3 to 4 episodes.
Yeah.
So like, because I just got done doing this one where like Obi-Wan went and undercover, but like he changed the way he looked, and like it was all about him dealing with Cad Bane, and like it's really cool. It's a really cool few episodes, but like that alone would have been its own movie.
Yeah.
Because like all 3 or 4 of like those episodes put together make almost like 2 hours.
Damn, nice.
Like, or a little over an hour and a half, actually, I want to say. But still, like, it warrants a movie.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to watch the Clone Wars at some point.
I will tell you, dude, it is far better than I thought it was going to be, in the sense that even Anakin's better in the series.
Oh, yeah. No, I've seen bits and chunks of the series, and I enjoyed what I saw. It was just, I don't know. I just was at that point where I'm like, I don't want to have to watch a series to appreciate a movie. Like,
Well,
that's kind of how I was at the point.
Yeah, I had to leave that mindset and be like, I need to appreciate the series in order to appreciate the whole universe.
Yeah, but I think, I don't know, I also feel like I'm more into that now.
Yeah.
Mostly because since we started this podcast and, you know, I started actually looking at movies and series and books more in depth and stuff, it's actually that's where I started to appreciate. It's a bitter sword because I'm appreciating more the series that they do around the movies and the extra content that goes around the movies to help build lore and stuff. But then it's also like, man, I would just want to watch a fucking movie. I don't want to have to spend like 80 years on like one thing. So,
well, the pacing for it's actually really good. So like even like the political episodes that they have in there, like aren't too bad. They're not too boring. Like because they still balance out action very well within it. So like watching the series, I kind of understand George Lucas's mindset. Of how he was wanting to set up the entire Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
Because watching the series, you kind of get more of like, oh, okay, this makes sense. Because it doesn't just...
So this is where he wanted the kookiness to come in to go with the like...
Yeah. But I will tell you right now, I'm fairly certain he's like hard pushing like Jar Jar Binks in the series.
Yeah.
Like, I hate those episodes.
Yeah.
But
it also, at least those episodes kind of go to the fan theory that he's a Sith Lord.
I disagree.
I still think he is.
He's not.
I think he is.
We didn't get... There was no reveal.
Don't care.
There was no
I think
reveal.
he is. You know what?
He's dead.
He's basically what Kylo Ren was, because technically Snoke and Kylo weren't Siths.
Yeah, but I actually like Kylo Ren and Snoke more.
I still think...
Like, all emo jokes about him aside, at least he can fight.
I know. See, for me, like, my top three, it goes Palpatine. That's right. Palpatine over Vader right now for me. I'm just loving Palpatine way too much. Vader and Kylo. Oh my god, I love Palpatine. Seriously. The other night, like, I had a good hour to myself. Yeah. And so I just hopped on Battlefront 2 and just replayed the Palpatine mission on the Dark Side Arcade over and over, just going, good, give it to the hate.
Yeah, they updated the game really well. It's definitely become its own game.
I love the Ewoks. Playing as Ewoks now, just going, just
stabbing them.
People.
I gotta say, it's kind of rewarding, just like killing Count Dooku with a bow. like I feel like the Ewoks are the insult characters of Battlefront. Like if you get killed by an Ewok, like you need to reevaluate how you're playing the game.
Yeah, but they're a little OP. Like yes, you could offer them one shot, but that auto aim bow and arrow that they have.
Well, the auto aim's also for the blasters too.
Not really.
No, it is. Yeah, you can get lock on for it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like in the settings.
Whatever. But I still think like the auto aim bow because you're just like and then run around like Otis from WWE. Just going rock.
That being said, today we're talking about things we love and hate. We should probably actually do that.
Actually jump into it.
We should do that fast. Get out of the way.
I mean, I think we talked about one big thing we love already, but we still got some more. Yeah.
I'm willing to just make Star Wars the thing we love.
Let's introduce our love and hate today.
So
what is love and hate for those of our new listeners?
So if you're new to the show, or if you've been a fan for a while now and have had a hard time explaining it, don't worry, I will do it for you. This is the segment of the show where we talk about something we love and hate that's happened in the past day, week, or month in the world around us, and we're just putting our own little opinion on it. You can agree with it or disagree with it. Let us know if you do, and if not, again, it's just us giving our own little aspect of the world around us. So, that being said, thank you. I'm trying to get better at it. I'm just like, bam, 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 bam. So, today, what I love is that last Friday, I took the entire day off from my...
You were doing so good.
I know, right?
So
Mid-burp.
Good. So good.
Mid-burp. Last Friday, I took the entire day off to go on a field trip with my daughter. And we went to the Denver Natural History Museum. Mm-hmm. And so that was an awesome time. Like, it was really great. I loved hanging out with her and just, like, loved, watching the things that she was just amazed by at the entire museum. I had to watch like two other girls that were, I mean, they're cute, I guess. I'm weird with other people's kids that I don't really have a connection with.
Yeah.
Like,
that's fair. It's hard because you're like, well, it's weird because for a guy, I'm the same way whenever like I take Audrey to the park and another little kid comes and like wants to play with her and stuff or wants to ask me a question, I'm always like, y'all don't think I'm trying to like take the kid, right? My daughter's over there. Like,
oh man,
stop! Don't look at me.
Yeah,
go away, kid. I don't know you.
Oh, dude, there was a time where I took Erin to the park and she was still learning to potty train and whatnot.
Yeah,
and she accidentally got too excited and peed down the entire slide.
Yeah,
so I was like freaking out because I didn't know what to do, and I was like looking at just like for some mom to come and like throw me a rag or something because I think it was the only dad there. Yeah. No one did, and I guarantee they're all sitting back and like, okay, let's see how the man does this, or I don't know. I just created that scenario in my head. Basically, what ended up happening though is I took my shoe off and took my sock off, and I used the sock to wipe up the pee, and I just threw the sock away in the park trash can because I'm not carrying.
There's no point.
Yeah.
Why would I carry around a pee sock?
But I gotta say though, the moms were impressed like that. They're like, "That was really good thinking." I'm like, "I know, I know."
On my feet
Because Dad should know what you do. I was just like, it just reminded me of that joke Chad Daniels made about like the dad who gets stuck in the blinds because he's just such a dummy when it comes to doing household projects. And I'm like, I hope I made you proud, Chad.
It's like, dude, I'm just a dad. I don't know how to do anything. Dude, I just work.
But no, it was awesome, and I had a proud dad moment because we went to this indoor playground that they had, and they have one of those interactive like water flow stations for the kids to like mess with to see the physics of water flow. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So I didn't know it was chlorinated. That doesn't make it any better, but just like there was all these kids around it, and I just like saw them trying to drink the water, and I'm fairly positive I saw a kid walking out with a mouth full of water. And I'm just like, again, keeping in mind at the time I didn't think it was chlorinated, so I thought like, these kids are probably picking their nose. They probably didn't wash their hands after they used the bathroom. They probably picked up something off the floor, tried to eat it. Kid stuff. And then it's just like all that water run off, and now they're drinking that, and I'm like, oh my god. And then I see Erin playing in the station, and I'm just like, don't drink the water. Don't drink the water. I swear to God, if you drink the water, I'm going to slam my head into this wall, and I give up. Like, I have done bad as a parent. This is the red flag. I can't do any better from this. I've screwed you over. If you drink this water, I give up. She didn't.
Okay.
So that's what I was proud about. I was like, thank God. Because I was watching her like a hawk. I was like ready to just like hop over action movie style.
Yeah.
And just be like, no!
Slap the cup out of her hand. Dad, why? No!
This is gross. And I was talking about it. Our friend James is like, well, to be fair, the water is chlorinated. And I'm like, I don't want her drinking chlorinated water either. And he's like, well, what would you rather have? I'm like, neither.
How about just good water?
How about she just doesn't drink it at all? I appreciate him trying to help, but he's like, it's chlorinated. And I'm like, that doesn't help. James.
Get it, James.
That's still a chemical she's drinking. Like, I don't care if it's not going to kill her instantly. I don't want her to do it at all. So it's just like,
come on.
Freaking out about that. The thing I hate, though, is because I started watching that docuseries called The Trials of Gabriel Fernandez. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to go into the very heavy stuff about it because it is a true crime series about the murder of this 8-year-old little boy in California that happened in 2012. It's a very, very, very heavy docuseries. If you do watch it, I strongly recommend that you go into it knowing that there are some heavy trigger warnings for abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse, and even torture. It's really bad.
It's rough.
So,
it's a rough story.
So keep that in mind if you go watch it. It's definitely, I will say, probably one of the heaviest docuseries on Netflix. But anyways, it's not also just about that, but it's also kind of shining a light on the corruption that the Board of Supervisors have in California. Because they're in charge of like the beaches and the parks, and the funding for that, and also with child services.
Yeah.
And so Gabriel had all these signs that he was being abused, and child services didn't do anything about it. They didn't take him away, and they say the reason that they didn't is because it's a very traumatizing experience to take a child away. And in that case,
so is getting burnt with a slit cigarette.
Well, so there's the case that they're making, like why it's hard is that I forget who was talking, but she said it's kind of like a pendulum of where it goes between, well, if we take the one kid away, do we take all the kids away? And it goes back and forth, kind of like that. And then where do we find them to go, because you find out that the holding place, the command center for the children's services, was actually just having kids stay there, like starting at like 13 kids, going over to almost over 300. Damn. And then you find out that one of the lead supervisors, one of the head people of the child services, reached out to his managers, board of supervisors, like, "Hey, this is getting out of hand. We need help." And they basically threatened him threatening him with termination.
Yeah,
for saying something. And so it's just like made me so mad about it, because I'm just like, and it's possibly also because I'm a dad now too, but it's just like, like it makes me so mad thinking that there's a kid that is literally that it needs this help and needs to be saved, and you find out in the docuseries that he's crying about having to go on a bus to go home.
Yeah.
And the teacher, was reporting this over and over to child services, and just like nothing was being done about it, because nothing was done about it. Unfortunately, the child lost his life. Yeah. And it made me so mad, because it's like, I try to always have a benefit of the doubt kind of mindset until I get all the facts.
Yeah.
Like, I'd like to believe that there are some officials higher up that aren't terrible, because I gotta have some sort of hope like that. Mm-hmm. But then when the world shines a harsh light on the fact that a lot of people just care about their title and the money they have and not what they do for others, it just makes me so mad. Mm-hmm. And it just like makes me want to burn down like that entire building. Like, I'm not gonna actually go do it. FBI, chill out. But it's just it's infuriating, because it's like it's just one child in a statistic sense, but in reality it's a human being lost their life, someone who did not ask to not only be brought into this world, but also did not ask for the horrible things that were done to them. And the people that were supposed to be there weren't there for him. Now, I don't know how it's ended. I didn't finish the series yet, so if there's something I'm missing that doesn't really add up, then that's why. But that's just what I hate, and I'm just gonna shout out, if you have a young kid in your life, whether it's your child or someone that you're related to, or just even a kid that is your friend's kid, like, just remind them that you love them, and just hold them dearly. So, Cody, take it away. Try to follow that up.
Yeah, I know. Thing I love is I just got done celebrating my mom's 60th birthday.
Yay!
Yeah, so that
Can
was
I
a
say
lot
her
of fun.
name? Was she get upset?
My mom's Belinda.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I know she likes anonymity, so
sort of, but yeah, no, me and her and her friend. Family friend Marcus and my stepdad Gary went to Black Hawk and celebrated it. Nice. We ended up winning over $700, so we actually came out positive. I was excited about that. Yes. So that was a lot of fun. It was just nice being able to spend some time with my mom. Like, Dev and Audrey didn't come, so it was kind of nice just, actually me having some time with just my mom and stuff.
Right.
And it was really nice. And even Dev was like, as much as she wanted to go, she thought it was also like, it was good for me to go and spend some time with my mom. So that was a lot of fun. It was really nice. It was nice to get away.
It's also hard to take a kid up to Black Hawk and like try to keep them.
Audrey wouldn't have been able to go whatsoever.
Because I don't know if there's some parts that are age I know there are some parts that are age
there are
restricted.
some. It just would have been
either way.
It was just better just not having Audrey there for that time, just because it was casinos and stuff. No place for a kid. Yeah. And so
here, go to the penny slots, make yourself useful.
Yeah, basically. Here, go win daddy some money. No one's gonna suspect you because you're 3.
Let's see if you're Lucky Charm.
But yeah, so that was a lot of fun. And also, like, it was also kind of nice because that was the first, like, real big thing that I did ever since I've dropped down to just one job in the podcast now.
Yeah.
Super exciting because I have a lot more time on my hands now. So, I get the time to put more into the podcast, and I can do better research and all kinds of stuff. So I'm excited about that. Get to put more time into time with Audrey and Dev. So I'm really excited about that. Nice. And I guess that's 2 things that I love. But mostly the time with my mom. And the thing that I hate is something that I found out over, like, just before we started recording. And so it links to something that I was going to talk about anyways. But so the 2 issues that link into the same thing, overall issue that I hate. So one is Garth Brooks. He just had a concert. And there's a lot of controversy over his concert in Detroit. Because he was wearing... Okay. He was wearing a Detroit Lions Barry Sanders jersey. Barry Sanders is a Hall of Fame running back from Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
If you know football, you know who Barry Sanders is. Even some people who don't know football,
right.
He's a big name. Yeah. Most people know the name Barry Sanders. Anyway, so he decided in Detroit to wear a Barry Sanders football jersey, and it's a Detroit Lions jersey, and it says Sanders 20 on his back. What's a big name who has a last name of Sanders? That's a big thing happening with 20 in the title. So everyone was harassing Garth Brooks, calling him a piece of shit for doing politics during a concert. Because everyone thought he was saying, I support Bernie Sanders. And it's like, come on, man. Like, it's literally a 10-second Google, Detroit Lions, Sanders 20. It'll show up. Bernie Sanders was a Detroit Lion running back with the number 20.
Yeah.
So the stupidity of that also links into this. So everyone knows about the coronavirus epidemic. That's possible, possible actual plague epidemic to be released in America and stuff. And, it can be a scary thing. Yep. It can be a very scary thing, but what's not scary about the coronavirus is it actually has no link to Corona beer. But people think that because I know there's been jokes that people actually believe the Corona beer is related to the coronavirus, so the Corona stocks and everything have plummeted. Corona beers plummeted because of a virus that has nothing to do with them.
And also Plague Inc.
Yeah, basically.
Plague Inc.
So it's just like, come on. Like, please. If you see something, take the 10 seconds to just go Google it.
You know what's funny
Google
about it?
these issues. Like, it's not that hard. The Garth Brooks thing, easily Google Detroit or Garth Brooks jersey, Sanders jersey, and you'd find it's actually a Barry Sanders jersey.
Right.
How can you get the coronavirus? It is not from drinking Corona beer because they're not related. So, come on.
Oh, yeah, because that joke isn't dead already.
I know.
I need my Corona with my Lyme disease.
Oh, I drink Bud Light. I'm good with Corona. I'm not going to get it. So, that's just the thing that I hate is just like how dumb some people can be with that kind of thing. And it's just... most people nowadays, you have a smartphone in your pocket that has a Google bar. Just Google the thing. It's not that hard. Okay, but that's just all. And I know I'm like one of those that falls into clickbait sometimes, but come on.
Right.
That's just common sense that a Barry Sanders jersey and the coronavirus have nothing to do with Corona.
Bernie Sanders.
Or Bernie Sanders. So, that's the thing that I hate is just Google.
Just Google.
Use Google. There's a great thing. That's a smartphone. That's very well prevalent. Internet's everywhere. If somehow, for some reason, you don't have a smartphone, I'm sure you could throw a stick in a crowd and they'll have a fucking smartphone to Google the answer.
There's a lot of kids that have smartphones these days.
Yeah, that too.
It's a thing.
All
right. So you went first last week.
Yeah. Now we're going to jump into our movies. So for our movies, I did go first, so you're going to go first this time. But just to give a quick little thing about them. So because we talked about a very semi-famous, I don't think she was very famous, but Jane Toppin, we decided to pick our movies all about...
female serial killers.
Female serial killers or female antagonists in the movies.
Yeah. So, I mean, we did actually look for films that were about Jane Toppin, and there literally are none. Like,
there's some kind of inspirations, but there were so many nurses serial killer nurses that poison people. You can't say Jane Toppin was the one.
Right, but she's one of the earliest. But, I mean, you'll know about it. Supposedly you've heard the Monday episode.
Hopefully. That was good.
So
I learned a lot of interesting things about her. Mm-hmm. She was nuts.
So, the irony of my movie is that we talked about this last Friday, that we keep passing on this one until the opportunity comes. But guess what, Cody? This was the opportunity. I told you it would present itself. I told you it would.
I know. We had a huge argument about whether we actually did this movie or not already, and it took a while to go through our fucking movie reviews to figure it out if we've done it. So what movie, Matt?
So I decided to do 2009's The Loved Ones. Directed by Sean Byrne and written by Sean Byrne. Also stars Xavier Samuel, Robin McLeavy, and John Brumpton. The synopsis is, when Brent turns down his classmate Lola's invitation to the prom, she concords a wildly violent plan for revenge. Which, kinda.
It's not really
I mean, I'm not gonna really give them a shit about the synopsis again, because I feel like I do it every episode.
It's like, come on, IMDb. You know what you're about. I know you get one good one.
And I'm also banking on like the idea that they're actually gonna like listen to us.
There's gonna be one IMDb like author that's gonna listen to us go, hey, fuck you guys.
You don't know what it's like, man.
I really hope it's the one who actually wrote one of the like synopsises for one of the movies you're reviewing.
But I'm also like really nervous because I started thinking about it. I'm like, wait, what if it's actually coming from the film creators, like the people that worked on the film that made the synopsis?
Well, do better. Then you should know your own movie. Do gooder.
Do gooder. Do gooder.
Do gooder.
So, the loved ones. So, just jumping into this, this was actually a really close choice I was going to make for last week's topic, talking about strong female influences in horror. Mm-hmm. But I'm glad. But I'm glad I saved it. And so, I only have 2 cons, but I have a shit ton of pros. And by a shit ton, I mean a little over 10.
Well, that's a good movie, man. They did a lot of good things right.
So this is now the 4th time I've watched this movie. Which, by my own narcissistic rating approval, if I am willing to go back and watch a movie more than a second time, then that by that definition alone makes me see that film as a classic already. Mm-hmm. So if you feel the same way, then this is why I decided to go with this film. But what I love about it, so jumping into the pros, it does not hesitate to jump.
What if it's a terrible movie that you're just forced to watch more than twice? Like
what? Like, what would be the example?
Like Twilight.
That's different.
I'm just saying.
Because I'm being forced.
I know, but...
Well, I'm not being forced, but I'm doing it selflessly for someone else. So that's the difference.
Okay.
Like, that's the difference.
Okay.
Because
I'm like, there's a lot of movies we both watched more than twice that we're just like, God, fine.
Okay, via my choice.
Okay.
Wanting to watch it again.
Thank you.
So, first pro, movie jumps right into its story. And then it's not a long intro, which, I mean, if you've listened to the show for a while now, you know I'm definitely not a fan of stupidly long intros with a very basic stock shots. I hate those types of intros, so I'm glad this one just jumps right into it. It jumps into the scene of Brent, who is played by Xavier Samuel, riding in the car with his father and just spending time together. And as they're driving down this road in the Australian outback, they see a man on the road with a bloody chest in the shape of a heart. And so they swerve out of the way, and as they swerve, they crash into the tree.
Jesus Christ.
Scene fades out, comes back into some time later, and now we see Brent, who is obviously changed. He's definitely more somber. He's at school now, and we see, his friend talking to him about the prom that's coming up. I think it's prom. It's either prom or Sadie Hawkins, I think. It's Sadie
It's
Hawkins.
Homecoming.
Is it Homecoming?
Yeah, it's Homecoming.
Okay, so it was a Homecoming.
No.
I mean,
it's Homecoming or prom, because her whole thing was she wanted to be the queen. Prom queen or Homecoming queen.
I mean, either way, it doesn't matter. Like, it's a dance.
Yeah.
It's like the
Australia, do you do both? Do you have prom and homecoming?
I don't know. I'm gonna add into that joke. All the jokes I want to make would be really dumb, like more dumb than normal. So I'm just gonna not.
It's prom. You literally read it in the synopsis.
I did read.
God, we're stupid sometimes.
Yeah. So I mean, why are you even listening to us? But anyways,
there's one person sitting there like, you just fucking read it. Prom.
So anyways, his friend Brent's friend is talking to him about prom and, who's he going to go with, and Brent has a girlfriend. So at this point, we are also introduced to the character Lola, who comes up and asks Brent, hey, do you have a date to the prom? Would you like to go with me? And he actually does turn her down, but he turns down in a very polite manner. He's like, I'm really sorry, I'm going with someone else. How you would imagine someone politely rejecting someone would.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, I'm going with my girlfriend. You know?
Yeah.
Someone I'm already in a relationship
I'm going with my
with.
girlfriend, you fucking slut.
Come on, you should know I'm already dating her. We're not very closed off about it.
We have sex in the halls all the time.
Yeah, look, she's blowing me right now.
That doesn't happen.
No. But he does have a girlfriend.
Yeah, and they do have sex, but not like that. But so the scene continues on from there, and then
it's more appropriate.
It's more appropriate, you know, watching teens have sex
there's more,
the way it would be appropriate.
There's more class to it. It's not just blah, 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 right there in the hallway.
No, it's like blah, 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 blah in her car. But during that scene, though, I'm glad we are bringing it up, because one thing I do kind of want to give approach to this movie about is that it touches on grief and trauma in an honest light. Yeah, it's not the main focus of the film, but remember how, like, if you've been listening to us for a while now, we talked about that horror is this great medium to talk about very serious subjects, such as, you know, self-harm, trauma, PTSD, stuff like that. And so I'm really glad that they included, you know, what is grief and what is trauma after losing the father in the accident, which we were introduced to in the beginning of the film. So as they're in the car, as Brent's with his girlfriend and they're making out, you know, things are getting hot and heavy, she takes off his shirt and sees that he's been cutting his side with this razor that he has on his neck.
Yeah.
And so, like, that right there, like, is really kind of, like, showing you instantly how, like, upfront and brutal this movie's going to kind of be in a small dose.
Yeah.
So she drops him off at home.
Yeah, it's like vivid detail, right? It's a good after cut. Yeah, wait till you see it.
Oh yeah. So
just you wait.
After she drops him off, you know, she keeps asking him, you know, who asked you to the prom? You know, who asked you? And he's been like teasing with her, and he's like, oh, I need more things than that in order to tell you. You know, trying to get. Because they're in love and
you know,
horny teenagers.
That whole honeymoon thing, like, oh, I'll tell you if you touch it.
Yeah, basically.
Like, oh, I want to know. Boop.
But so he ends up telling her, it was like, oh, it was Lola. I forget Lola's last name in the movie, but he's like, it was Lola that asked me out. And she's like, okay, well, maybe you should go with her, because maybe she would like to go with someone who likes being a mess. Trying to, like, give him a hard time.
Yeah.
And so, with that...
Stone. Lola Stone.
Lola Stone, thank you. Lola Stone is the character's name that he mentions. So he goes back into his house and, you know, sitting on his bed, just looking through pictures of him and his dad. His mom opens the door and asks how you got home, and he's like, you know, my girlfriend, she dropped me off. And she's like, oh, well, next time I'll just buy you a taxi. And so he gets frustrated, and he's just like, it's still a car, Mom. It doesn't matter what it is. It's still a car. And the scene, like, it'll flip. If you're not really used to trauma or know what that's like, or grief, it'll go over your head at first.
Yeah.
But, like, the first, because you normally think, oh, it's him riding with a stranger that she doesn't know too well, aside from being his girlfriend. Yeah. Where it's more so not just that, it's that because the father died in the car accident, that's the issue. It wouldn't matter what car he takes. And so I liked that part, because that's what I'm talking about, where it touches on the very honest light of, like, grief and trauma and the effect it has on a family. Especially when you lose someone in a very tragic way like that.
Yeah.
And so I applaud it for that, because that's really a sensitive thing to, like, throw into a movie, especially a horror movie of this content, and they do it very well. They do it in a very tasteful manner for how brutal this movie gets later on. So at this point, he walks out of the house just after fighting with his mom and is mad, goes to this cliff where he goes and gets high at, and this is where the film picks up, because at this point he gets abducted by John, the actor John Brumpton, who plays the dad, Daddy. Eric. Yeah, Daddy Eric, which is Lola's dad. Wake up, he finds himself in tux, and he is bound to this chair, and this is where the movie goes into the very, very brutal and very psychotic mindset of Lola Stone. So Robin McLeavy is another pro for this movie, because she is just amazing at being crazed and psychotic, and is perfect playing Lola Stone. Like,
she did great.
Yeah, and really, I kind of want to give a nod to all the actors in this movie, because they all did really, really well. Because this is one of those few movies that when you get invested in, you have to remind yourself that it's acting and it's fake. Yeah. Because these actors, because majority of the movie is focused on Brent, Lola, and her dad. Yeah. And in their kitchen, and just Brent being tortured and tortured upon tortured. And they sell it very well. Like, and I kind of want to say in some ways it's better than how Hostel was with its torture scenes. Where Hostel definitely went more so for the torture porn aspect of it by doing crazy, over the top, bloody stuff.
Yeah, I would say I think the torture in this movie is a lot better than Hostel, because like when you go into Hostel, you don't care about the emotions behind it. You don't really care about the characters that are being tortured. You're like, I just want to see what this dude's gonna fuck up, like how he's gonna fuck this guy up. Right. While in this one, it's more like the whole point of the movie is like it makes you feel for him and wants you to kind of feel like in his shoes, like you know, it really puts you in the torture. So instead of going all out with the gore, they just go all out with their acting and like act it out, like because the torture they're doing to him isn't like extremely bloody stuff. It's not things like, you know,
I mean, not till like later on in the film.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, it's not super over the top. They don't start off with like burning his eye socket with a fucking blowtorch and snipping his eyeball out.
No, they actually do start off though, like in very small ways. So, like, I forget what it is. I think it's I want to say it's like drain cleaner,
bleach.
Is it? No, because it was a blue liquid.
Drano. It was Drano. Or
something
like that.
I think it was a drain cleaner. Either way, don't have to be specific about it. But
anyways, it's a chemical that shouldn't be in your body.
Yeah, so she takes a syringe of it and puts it into his throat, and like, on one hand, like, I kind of applaud them for like how intricate and smart they're being with the torture scenes in this movie and how a serial killer would act. Yeah. So the reason she's smart. Yeah. So because the reason she does that is that it gargles his vocal cords, so he can't really scream or speak or say anything. Mm-hmm. He just makes this really gargly noise. Yeah. You know, anytime he tries to scream, like, I'm not gonna imitate it because I'm not gonna hurt everybody's ears. But you'll see what I'm saying if you watch the film. Yeah. So like it's really kind of smart, and I know it's weird to say like the torture scenes in this movie are awesome, but like, keep it in mind, you're on the punk rock horror podcast. We love gore, so
we're talking about horror movies and how awesome. Like, we talk about how awesome and hatchet it is when he cuts some dude's head off while he's
or just like rips
doing
like
a girl from behind,
or the old lady's face, just
rips it open. Like, you know, we're all like,
just like an accordion style, just
So come on, you know what you're in.
So, but like, they're just really well performed. They're really well done. You know, and it really just it gets at you. It gets at you in a very just kind of unnerving way. And even still watching the movie for the fourth time now, it still gets to me. There's certain scenes that just like, just like really makes you cringe at just the sight of it. And so with that, it's a very brutal film and gets more brutal throughout. Yeah, and it is a solid 5 out of 5 with the buckets of gore in this one. Because although there aren't appendages being taken off and, you know, intestines flying, the torture scenes and the blood that comes from it is just so well done and so well made that it warrants a 5 out of 5. Yeah, it's not good. And because it's so intense and so brutal, it also reinforces that.
Yeah. Well, and also the intensity comes out. It's realistic. It's extremely realistic. So I feel like they did their research on, like, it's weird to say, but I feel like the writers were like, okay, would this kill someone, or would it just fuck up their vocal cords? You know, they probably researched on some of these like torture things. Like, okay, how realistically could someone survive this? Right. You know, I feel like that's kind of what they went through, and like what she could do, and like, and for more practical, like what household things can we use? Yeah. Because she never goes super over the top. You know, it's like all shit you can find just basically in your house. Except for needles.
So at this point, we're also kind of just like being introduced to, after that happens, so after the syringe part we were talking about, we're now seeing the dichotomy of the relationship between Lola, her dad, and their mother, Lola's mother, who has been, like, there's something wrong with her. You can't tell what it is, but if you pay close attention to her forehead, it gives you a direct idea what has happened to her. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, you kind of see that Lola's pulling all the strings. She's manipulating everything. Even with her dad, it gets to this very, very creepy point of where it's beyond a dad and daughter relationship. And definitely a loving type of relationship.
You're my prom king.
You're my prince, daddy.
Daddy, can we go to the ball?
They're Australian. Why are we making them British?
You know what?
What are we doing with that?
You know why? Because the Australian accent came from a bunch of British prisoners who were put there, and then they just modified. Right. So, okay. You know what? They're descendants.
Crikey, you're my prince, Dad.
Crikey, we go see the King of England.
Crikey. Look at that bugger right there. Easy now. Easy.
Now let's get a stick.
Come up with a stick. So anyways, as this is going on,
Australians is like, we're gonna fuck you guys up now.
So as this is going on, they're basically having the prom at her house, like this twisted, fucked up prom at her house, and what's making these intense scenes a little more easy because they keep going back and forth between the side story of his friend going to prom with this girl that he really likes, and so. And the side story is kind of annoying at first until you get further into the movie and find out why it's there. And I'll touch on that.
Because in the beginning you're like, go back to what's going on with him?
It really is
so
like
drunk?
that. You're just like, okay.
Why do I care about prom? I want the real fake prom.
I mean, good for the friend, like actually seeing this, being able to go with the girl that he's like infatuated with.
Yeah,
well, good for him.
Yeah,
but you're just like, is Brent gonna survive?
The
entire
you're
time.
Not Brent.
So, but I will say that it does help balance out a lot of the demented torture scenes. Like,
yeah, you do need a little breather.
Yeah, because there is also just because another torture scene to touch on, like to give you the idea of like how brutal this thing actually is that there's a point where Brent is able to actually get out of his restraints, and when he does that, they eventually were able to catch him, and I'll touch on like that whole scene in a second here, but the way they bring him back and keep him from moving again is that they take his shoes off, but like hammer in cutlery into his feet. Yeah. So they took like 2 steak knives and just like jam it into his feet into the floorboard. And so and it's a very brutal scene.
Yeah, that was rough. And it doesn't help because, he's trying to scream, but he can't. So all you're hearing is the...
Yeah, like just kind of like that raspy type of sound. But anyways, so it balances out, come back and forth, going between that. So coming to the scene where Brent escapes. This is where my only 2 cons are. So he has to say he has to go to the bathroom. So she asks him, do you have to go number 1 or number 2? And so he says he has to go in number 1. So she makes him pee right then and there, still being restrained. And if he doesn't pee in time, they're going to jam a nail through his dick. Mm-hmm. And so the part that doesn't happen, but it's a very intense scene. But I just couldn't help but watch it and be like, what would have happened if he said he had to go 2, Like, would they make him shit himself? Right? Like, the idea is they might have just made him shit himself in there, but, like, if there's a chance that they might pick him up to go shit somewhere else, then, I that'd be awesome, too. But with how demented she is, it's easy to believe that she would just make him shit himself.
Yeah.
And I get that he
I
probably...
wonder if they originally thought that, and they're like, no. That's too hard.
That'd be too humiliating for him.
Like, no.
Yeah.
We're not going to shove a bottle up his ass or something like that.
Right.
Like, make him shit on the chair.
Right, or something. Yeah. Or just, like, make blue liquid come... Or brown liquid come out.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So, with that... So, that's the scene where he does eventually end up escaping, though. Because he's able to undo his restraints. And he runs out the house. And, as he's trying to escape, the dad's also kind of an idiot. Because the dad thinks he gets away and like is running off, not remembering that his feet are still tied together. So he gets in the truck, tries to go find him, and as he pulls out from the truck, sees Brent just kind of rolling and dodging the truck from running him over, and he's back against a tree. The dad starts chasing him via the truck, and Brent actually climbs up a tree. And then when he gets to that said tree that Brent climbs up, the dad like looks under the truck to see if he ran him over. Yeah. Even though you can see clearly in the shot, Brent is still climbing up the tree, and like the truck has the full view on him.
Yeah.
And so like that's kind of like a dumb scene. I'm just like, Eric is kind of dumb, and why didn't Brent say number 2 instead? Those are my only 2 cons. They're really not the biggest deal. They don't ruin the movie, but it's just worth pointing out. Mm-hmm. With that as well too, I got to start wrapping this up for my review. I also love the fact that in a lot of ways that this movie does kind of flip gender roles. Yeah. So what I mean by that is that when we see movies like this before in the past, we normally have seen it where the guy is the dominant power. He's the bad guy. Mm-hmm. And we see the girl who's restrained. I keep forgetting the name of the movie, but it was this film that starred Elisha Cuthbert, and she was like stuck in this trap. And it was kind of a similar situation of somebody being infatuated with a person and trapping them in order to like get their if someone can't have them, no one can have them.
Yeah.
If she can't have them, no one can have
They
them.
do a lot of those movies.
But so it's really kind of nice though to see it flipped, where it's now this like, 5'5" probably, or 5'9" girl who you wouldn't suspect to be a murderer, to be a serial killer, being this terrifying actual, butcher.
Yeah.
And so, and because Brent, he's supposed to be this dude who's in heavy metal, and it's just like, he's like probably 6 feet tall, and
he's in death metal. He's cutting himself. He's all seen like, God, fuck the world.
Yeah, fucking, he's a being a brutal dude. Being an angry teenager, for the right reasons. But
and
still,
he was the one with all the trauma.
Yeah.
Like, you think it kind of like leads to he would be the one.
Well, see, that's what I love about it, because it also gets to this point where, like, there's the scene where Brent goes from surviving just to survive, but it becoming personal. Mm-hmm. And when this happens is during a couple scenes. So there's one scene where she's trying to make him scream. Mm-hmm. And I think she's trying to do it with that knife scene in the feet. Yeah. And so she's like hitting him, trying to make him scream. And he's just like not doing anything. He's not screaming. He's not giving her that satisfaction. And he just looks her dead in the eye and doesn't give her a reaction at all. And I'm like, fuck yeah.
Like, hell yeah. Like, all right.
Because she wanted him to react. She wanted him to cry about it. Yeah. But instead, he's just like, fuck you. So I love that part. It was amazing. And then the scene where it becomes personal is, so she has this photo album of like all her other dates, and you see that this crazy thing that they're doing with Brent has been actually happening all her life since like she was in primary school. And so even in just like first grade, like, when there was a boy that she liked but didn't like her back, the dad would kidnap him, do the same things to that little kid. Yeah. And then she has all these pictures of all these boys she did to, and she's like, here's the one that got away. Yeah. And shows it, and that was
it was a good twist.
And it's not the biggest twist, because there's a bigger twist to it. And I'll give a spoiler review for that one. But so you find out that the one that got away was the one that appeared on that road that caused the accident that killed his dad. And so when you kind of stop and think about it for a second, it was like, this got to a point now where Brent was just trying to survive just to survive, to where he realized that the reason that accident happened that day, that the reason his dad's not here, is because this bitch kidnapped this dude. And if she wasn't doing this, none of this would have happened.
Still be alive.
Exactly. Yeah. So like for Brent, this becomes a serious thing. He's like, I'm gonna get out of this, and I'm gonna fucking murder you and your crazy dad. So eventually, it gets to that point where he starts fighting more. He starts getting away. He starts trying to fight back, and you find out that there's a cellar. And in the cellar were all the other boys.
Was fucking crazy.
Yep. And it was the boys that they kept. They didn't actually kill them. They kept the boys. And they keep them in the cellar, and they feed them like marmots and whatnot. Yeah. And so, like, that's where Brent's going to go next. And eventually he does end up in that cellar. I'm not going to tell you how, because I really want you to see that scene. It's not a big spoiler thing, but it's just a lot of detail.
Yeah, there's a lot to it.
So, but check it out. It's fantastic. It's an awesome scene. But he ends up in that cellar and ends up in the most fucking metal way possible. Which, by the way, I love that Brent's not a total idiot in this movie. Mm-hmm. Like, he tries everything to get out of that cellar. So eventually, what ends up happening is that, his girlfriend and his mom don't know where Brent's at this point. His girlfriend's waiting to be picked up by Brent to go to the prom and never hears from him, and so they're really concerned. So he's basically a missing case. And his mom's assumed the worst, that he's died. Now that she's lost her husband, she's also lost her son. And so, like, it's touching on still, like, these very, very important trauma infected people. Yeah. And so, with that, his girlfriend is just like trying to think, where could he be? Because she doesn't know where he's at. Because again, he was kidnapped. He was taken. Mm-hmm. And then she remembers the conversation he had with her the day prior, that he was talking to Lola Stone. Yeah. And she remembered that he mentioned Lola Stone, and she's like, I wonder. Mm-hmm. Calls the police. Calls a police friend that she knows. And he goes out to find the house that Brent's being kept at, finds Lola Stone's house. And at this point, the cop eventually gets killed by Lola. And so Brent's just, like, giving up at this point, Mm-hmm. Even though, like, the cop finds Brent, finds the cellar because Brent's making all this noise to find him. Cop gets killed, and so like instead of just giving up, he uses the bodies of these kids that were basically turned into savage cannibals over the years. It was because of the torture they endured by Lola and her father. Ends up killing them and stacks the bodies on top of each other in the most meta way possible to like jump up and get out of the cellar. So, but because what made that whole happen though is because his girlfriend told the cop, Lola Stone, go check out Lola Stone. And if he never did that, Brent would have never got out. Because originally what happened is that when she closed the cellar on Brent, she closed the door. So he couldn't open them from the inside out. But because the cop showed up, she, in her craze, walks away without closing the cellar.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for him just making that one little mention of who he was talking to, like, he would have never been found. So, lesson learned, always be specific about random strangers you meet when talking to close people that you know.
Yeah.
Be detailed, just in case. So, he eventually gets out, jumping off the stacked dead bodies that he makes. And, again, the most metal way possible. And so, at this point, the girlfriend's going over to Lola's place to also find Brent, to see what's going on. And you kind of end up finding something else out prior to the scene, to where I'm going to give a quick spoiler warning.
Spoilers!
Because this is actually a good twist for the whole film. So I'm going to give you about just kind of a minute. So skip ahead a minute if you don't want to be spoiled for you. Going in 3, 2. All right, so you find out that the girl that Brent's friend went with to prom, she could tell that there's something going on with her the entire time. She's a very, very moody high school girl. And so you think it's just because she's a moody high school girl. But you find out after the prom, after she comes home drunk and he brings her home, she's laying in her bed and she's crying, and you think, like, did the friend do something wrong? And you hear her say, why can't you find him? And it pans to a scene of her picture next to her brother's picture, and her brother was the one that got away from Lola Stone.
Yeah.
And so you realize that this is finally more connected.
Yeah, they're all connected.
And so that's the point, because her dad is the cop. And so at that point, the dad realizes, oh my God, Brent talked to Lola Stone.
Yeah.
And it's just coincidental. It's just weird how this is all adding up. And so that's how the cop ends up even going more so towards Lola Stone's house, and how he ends up there. So that's the end of the spoiler. And so it's a really, really heartbreaking good twist. And then we get to the ending of the film, where eventually Brent does get away. But by the time he finally gets out and gets away, his girlfriend and Lola are in a fight. Lola's trying to kill her, based on the idea that, you broke my heart, Brent. Now I'm going to break yours by killing your girlfriend.
Yeah.
And so they're fighting, and this ending is just so awesome, because
such a good ending.
Yeah, because the girlfriend eventually gets away and is running while Lola's chasing her down with a knife. And then Brent, he takes the cop's car and misses his girlfriend, but doesn't see Lola, and just rams her with the car. Just fucking impales her. And then again, I want to give another credit to Rob McLeavy for her portrayal of Lola, because it's just even more commendable at this point. What ends up happening is that Lola's, after being run over by the car, she has her wrist is barely holding on.
Yeah.
Because it's just completely severed, and she's crawling with the knife, pulling her forward.
Yeah.
Just on her elbows. And fucking Brent grabs his girl. They get in the car, fucking reverse, and just slam and end this horrible nightmare. Come home to his mom, who's happy to see him.
Yeah.
And then that's that. That is the loved ones. That is the film. Obviously, that's just the review form. There's more to it than that. But this movie is hands down one of the best horror movies with a female villain that has ever been made. And it's such a sorrowful thing that it has not gotten as much love or attention.
Yeah.
Because it really deserves it. Because, the cast in this whole movie really sell it.
Really, really good.
I had to keep reminding myself a few times that, again, it is fake. It's fake, but with how detailed and how in the parts they are.
And realistic, not the torture scenes where...
Oh, yeah. There's some scenes that seem a little overacting, kind of like Rob Zombie effect.
Yeah.
But it's really few and fair between that it's not even worth mentioning, because it's still great throughout the entire film. But to kind of finish this off with some trivia about the loved ones, under the instruction of director Sean Byrne and Robin McLeavy prepared for the role of Lola by researching the serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer, as well as watching Misery and Natural Born Killers and the works of Quentin Tarantino. The movie was only filmed in 4 weeks. John Jarratt turned down the role of Daddy to avoid typecasting. Oh, I guess John Jarratt gets put a lot of those roles. Damn. In an interview,
for those who don't know, John Jarratt is the guy who plays the villain in Wolf Creek.
Oh, yep, that's right.
Yep.
I was like, I knew he was in Wolf Creek.
Yeah, he's the villain.
But I didn't think of how many other things he's in where he's just like, yeah, fair enough. He's like, I was already a serial killer. I don't want to do it again. So in an interview with writer-director Sean Byrne, film critic Chase Whale called antagonist Lola Princess one of the greatest villains in horror history. And I absolutely agree with that.
One last thing, Lola Stone is an anagram for lost and alone. When this was mentioned to Sean in a premiere Q&A screening, he was as wowed and amazed as the audience were because he didn't even have an idea. He had no idea.
It is
about
Lost
it.
and Alone. Huh, yeah, that's really funny.
Yep.
If you want to check out Loved Ones now, it's free on Tubi if you don't mind commercials. It's also available for rental for $2.99 on Amazon Prime, YouTube, Google Play, Vudu, and iTunes for $3.99. So check it out. If you have an Amazon Prime account, it does go from being free to being rented on and off, but still check it out. It's worth your time. It's worth your investment. Mm-hmm. If you're wanting a horror movie that you haven't really seen something new in a while, or just a new take on something an already established genre, this is definitely one for you. You are seriously missing out if you have not watched The Loved Ones. All right, Cody, what's yours?
Alrighty, so this one's a little bit more well-known than The Loved Ones, but it's still one of the best movies with a female antagonist because it comes out of nowhere too at the very end. So I did my movie on Audition. Yeah, so for those who know, Audition came out in 1999. The synopsis is a widower takes an offer to screen girls at a special audition arranged for him by a friend to find him a new wife. The one he fancies is not who she appears to be after all, though. It was directed by the legendary Takashi Miike. It was written by Ryu Murakami and Daisuke Tengun. It stars Ryo Ishibashi, Ihi Shina, and Tetsu Sawaki.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Last thing about the language of Japanese is that it literally sounds exactly how it's spelled.
I'd like to thank all my training from watching anime.
Yeah. All those nights of watching Dragon Ball Z and fucking Big O and Cowboy Bebop at night. So, this movie is a very slow burn. So be prepared for it. It is an extremely slow burn of a movie. Yeah. So just a heads up. That is my one. My biggest con is how slow it is. Like for the burn to happen. Like it's still a pretty good well paced movie. I enjoyed it. Everything's really well paced. It's a really good detail story oriented movie. They really make you care about all the characters that are in this movie some way. Like it makes you feel for someone, every single main character in some way, whether it's bad, good. It really does a good job of making you feel for these characters in this movie.
Agreed.
But it starts off really, really sad. Like it literally just starts off with your main character. I have to go all the way down to see his name because they didn't say it in the beginning. Aoka. You see Aoyama. Aoyama is our main character. You see him at his wife's deathbed, and he's wishing her goodbye. And you see his son walking through the halls, and it's so heartbreaking because he has a gift basket that he made for his mom from school.
Yeah,
it says "Get well, Mom. I love you," and all this sweet stuff. And his son literally walks in, 5 seconds after his mom dies.
Oof.
Like, the wife dies right then and there. His son walks in and is like, Dad, I made this for Mom. And his dad's like, God. And you're just like, God. Like, just right from the beginning. Yeah. And then it jumps forward several years and it shows, I normally don't like those, but it helps. Like, it really made you feel because there's a point. So it jumps forward several years to the son's he's older. I think he's in his he's a teenager. He's dating. And him and his dad are fishing, and they're talking about relationships. And his dad is like, you don't know love. You're young, that kind of thing.
Oh, you think you know love, youngster?
You don't know what real love is. And so,
love is your hand.
Exactly. And so for the first I would say 15 minutes of the movie, it's just everyone's talking to him about finding love again. His son's like, Dad, you should get remarried.
Yeah.
His receptionist comes up to him. There's really weird interactions between them throughout the whole movie. The Aoyama and his receptionist, but she's telling him that she's getting married. His friend just told him that he just got lucky and has a couple girls.
Yeah.
Like, everyone around him is having someone. And so then he finally gives up and he's just like, fuck it. And he talks to his friend. He's like, I think it's time for me to get married. And so his friend was like, okay, well, what kind of woman do you want? He's like, do you want a young one? Because his friend is like, dude, you're fucking old. What do you mean you want to get married again? Just fuck around.
Yeah.
And he's like, but whatever. Fine, I'll help you out. What do you want? And so he goes in.
By the way, we should also mention they definitely talk about this in a more sophisticated manner.
Not really.
You don't think so?
His friend, not really.
Oh, yeah, no, his friend, no.
I'm
talking about from him.
Aoyama is a lot more sophisticated. Because he's not a dick. He really isn't a dick.
His friend's
he's just... he lost his wife. He was raising his son. And if anybody knows the Japanese culture, it's very work-oriented. Extremely work-oriented, especially for the men in Japanese culture. And so that's what he dedicated his life to, and someone commented on him, you look tired, you need to get laid, is basically what they were saying.
Yeah.
It's a lot more classy, but literally everyone's just going, dude, come on.
Bro.
You're just working, you're not happy, you need something, you need a partner.
Dude,
it's what everyone's telling me.
Get a raincoat on your dick and jump out in the rain.
And I'm going to just say, my own personal just view on the whole thing, be happy with yourself first before you try and find something with someone else.
Yeah.
And and I think that's what he does, because he really does start looking at his life and he's like, I think I need to find someone. So he's talking to his friend, and this is how you know he's not really a creep. He's like, even though he says I'd like a younger woman, he's like, I want a career woman. He wants his next wife who's already, she's past all the young stuff. She's already has a career, she knows what she wants. He wants a strong woman. He even said she doesn't have to be rich. Right. She just has a confident woman that knows what she wants and is just is proud to be, who she is. That's kind of what he wants, what every person should want, a strong individual. And so his friend says, I'll help you out. And so he finds an old script that they wrote way long ago. And he said, yeah, this is a script that we wrote. And he's like, oh, I remember that. I did good, right? And he's like, yeah, but we're going to modify it. We're going to do a movie. And not only are we going to be doing a movie, but I'm going to give you all the women that I find that for this movie, and you're going to pick your favorite 30, and you're also going to try. It's also to help audition a wife for Aoyama. And Aoyama is at first he's kind of I don't know, that kind of seems sketchy, but then he just jumps into it. He's like, fuck it, let's see what's the worst that can happen. I don't find anyone I have to actually date.
Yeah.
He's
but I'm too old to date.
Yeah, and so so his friends are like, all right, so I'm going to broadcast on the radio that we're auditioning for a play. All these, send in all your info. He's like, don't worry, just show up on this day. I'll send you the headshots. Just pick 30 girls and come back on this day. And so, and he does tell him that, but then the Aoyama's like, well, what if it's the leading lady? She's not going to have any interest in me. And he's like, you're not going to marry the leading lady, dude. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's be real. You're getting the 5th runner-up because she's happy. His whole reasoning was because the leading lady, the leading actress, isn't a happy woman. They're not happy. The 5th one's going to be happy because she's just here for fun. Yeah. So, that's what he said. And so they broadcast the audition but then it just shows a scene where you see a woman sitting in an abandoned looking room with just a couple things and a giant burlap sack. And she's just sitting there. And she's just listening to the radio. And you hear the audition over the radio. And so, Aoyama, you see him like starting to feel guilt over everything because he's looking through these headshots and he sees a picture of his wife and he turns it around and he's starting to feel guilty over possibly finding a new love, which, he lost his wife in death. It wasn't a divorce. They loved each other. They had a marriage and she died. It would be hard no matter how long it is. So you feel for the guy and it's like,
yeah.
And so, but during this whole thing, he spills coffee on one specific application and he just gets obsessed with it. He's obsessed with this application. He reads it. He's just so happy about everything it says in there. And it's Asami. It's from Asami. Like, it's her application and he's just really into it. And so then you see all the auditions. You see your one pair of titties for the horror movie. There's no point in them actually being there, but they show it. And the guy, his friend, is asking some really, like, weird questions, like, have you ever had sex? Like, would you have sex for this position? Would you, like, just off-the-wall questions. But Aoyama doesn't ask anything throughout the entire audition until Asami shows up. And then he starts asking her, and he tells her, he actually asks her questions about her application. She's the only one he asks.
Yeah.
And he said the one thing that he loved was her thought. It was giving up on a dream is like accepting death, and she's okay with that. She had to give up her dream of being a ballet dancer because she hurt her hip, and it was basically like accepting that she's dead.
Yeah.
And that's what she tells him, and he's like, that's really big of you to think of how young you are. Like, you're really mature for your age. Yeah. And he's like, I want to get in that. It's basically like, it's true though. Like, everyone ignores everyone except her. And then he calls her that night to ask her out on a date the next day. And my big thing, guys.
Like, hey, Asami, how you doing, girl?
Yeah, basically. That's kind of how it is. Actually, he was like, how you doing? She's like, I really liked you.
She's like, I just bought some new razor wire.
So, yeah. And so, I know. Like, hey, I'm going to gut you. But, like, wait. Like, I don't care how excited you are. She even said, I want you to call me and stuff. And just wait on it. Dudes, just wait a day or two. Sit on it. You never know. But anyway, then his friend calls him the next day. This is why I was like, this is why you wait. You don't do it the night of. He calls him the next day and said, I looked into Asami. Her last agent disappeared. There's no trace of him.
Yeah.
And I was like, red flag. And so she lies to Aoyama saying that she had no idea who he actually was. She was going through, it was a guy through a guy, was how she knew her agent and stuff like that. And she would just get, she would just get him, he would just get her parts, and like, that's what she would say. And she says she'd like to do it again because she trusts him and hasn't had anyone to trust. She says that on the first date and wants to go on a second date, that she would like to do it again because she finally trusts this guy.
Yeah.
And she trusts Aoyama. And so his friend, again, after their second and third date, they go on a couple, his friend calls him and says, she's too good to be true, man. There's so much about her application that was exactly what you wanted. There was too much. It was too coincidental. Like, come on. And another big thing, he's like, also, there's no background. She has no background. They can't find anything about her except for what she said in her audition paper.
Yeah.
And so every time right before it shows that Aoyama's going to call her, it shows Asami just sitting in a room with a giant bag, and she's just sitting, and then the phone calls, and she just smiles because she knows she got him.
Yeah.
She's got him. She's like, and so, like, you see the bag rolling around and stuff at one point. You're like, what the fuck? When the phone goes off. And so you wonder what's in the bag. What's in the bag? And so Aoyama finally comes out and, like, tells her that the auditioning was fake. Like, it was all for him to kind of meet a girl. And he says that he's really that he's so happy that he met her. And she tells him she doesn't even care. She wrote in her audition that she didn't care. She knew she wasn't going to get the main role. And she's just happy that she finally met him. That she met him. She's like, I'm so happy to finally meet someone that I trusted. And they're like, oh, yeah. And there's this really weird... And so when they first have sex, it's really, really weird. Because she's really cryptic. She's just lays on the bed. She strips down. She's just telling him, like, do you love me? Only love me.
Yeah.
She says, love no one but me. And she says, you need to look at me. Look, and she shows him her scar. She only has 2 scars on her leg. And she's like, you need to look at me. I love me. Just me. Only me.
Only me.
And he's like, I love you. And then they bone. And this is where it gets weird because there's a lot of sequences that happen that are like, is it a dream? Is it not? Is it a dream? Is it not? And this is one thing that I love about Korean and Japanese films is because they do this and it like kind of makes you think like, is it a dream? Is it not? What's going on?
Yeah.
Because he has a dream that she's gone, and then he has another dream that he wakes up that morning and she's there, and he's just like, what the hell? But so you find out that her leaving in the middle of the night is the reality. Because she ghosts him, completely ghosts him. She doesn't call him anymore. She doesn't answer his messages. Everyone's like telling him, just forget her. And he literally does that entire thing of, why can't I quit you?
He's infatuated with her.
He's obsessed. To the point where he goes through her audition papers and just reads it clear and hunts down where her old studio used to be. Like goes to all these different places. And everywhere he goes, it's all broken down. It's been abandoned for years. Like, she goes to her apartment. No one's lived there. The guy even said, like, he runs into a tenant, and he was like, no one's lived there. And it's at this apartment that she...
years.
Yeah. Well, that she claimed she was taking care of this lady that lived there for 3 days out of the week. That's how she was able to fund everything. But the guy was like, nah, no one's lived there for, like, a year. Someone was brutally murdered there. And they were hacked to pieces, and when the cops were like cleaning up the crime scene, they found extra fingers, an extra tongue, and an extra ear that didn't belong to anyone there.
Yeah.
So if you were going to find said girl that you were interested in, and you found the place that she's claimed to live in for a little while, and then you found a tenant that lived there, and the guy was like, yeah, a person who lived there was brutally murdered not too long during the timeline that she said she was there, and there was extra body pieces of someone who didn't even live there.
Yeah.
What would you do?
Yeah, it's just a coincidence.
Would you be like, yeah, I would be like, I'm good. You know what? I'm going to go hit Tinder up or something.
It could be anyone who did it. Okay?
Anyway, sorry, 1999. I'm going to go make a dating tape.
I'm going to put on Comcast.
Yeah, like, so it's like, that. No, know what he does? You know what Aoyama does? Instead, he goes back to the abandoned fucking area of where, like, her old place was, breaks into there, finds some dude in a wheelchair playing the piano. Oh, sorry, this happens before he gets to the apartment. I apologize.
I mean, either way,
but anyways, he goes to that place, he breaks in, he sees this guy playing the piano, and this guy's like super cryptic in what he says, and then he's like, you saw me naked, didn't you? You boned her. You saw her. You let her into your life, and he just starts laughing his ass off at him, and this guy has fucked up feet.
Oh, yeah.
And you see these, like, that he has, like, fake feet on, and then these metal things, and you're like, what the fuck happened to this guy? Like, who are you? And just, like, Aoyama bails, and then he gets to that apartment. And so this part kind of pissed me off a little bit. This is one of my cons. So when the guy tells him about the pieces, Aoyama looks at the door, has a scared face, and then looks at the guy like he, like, just scared him out of nowhere, and he's like, hey! And it was like, the dude was there the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. And so during all of this, too, you're starting to see small flashbacks of what happened to Asami when she was younger. And so you see that the guy in the wheelchair actually used to burn her legs because she wasn't doing ballet right. And then he was jerking off while she was doing ballet and stuff. This dude was creepy, and you find out it was her uncle and stuff. And it's like, God, fuck this guy. Anyways, so he goes through all of that. He tries to hunt her down, finds out all this disturbing things that are possibly about her, and then he goes home, and so he goes home, he takes a drink of scotch, and just before you see that, you see this whole scene of someone running to the scotch in first person, you don't know what's going on, and he's drugged and just fucking falls, and this is where all the shit happens. So, I'm going to do a quick little spoiler review, and it's going to be over the torture scene. So, for those of you who aren't super into torture and would rather hear about it first, and then try and go watch it, go through the spoiler. For those who don't want to see it, who don't want to hear about it, and you want to see it all in its glorious detail, I would say skip ahead about 1 minute. And yeah, so
going in 3, 2, 1.
So, in the torture scene, Asami comes out. She rolls him over, tells him how, like, oh, you love your son, you don't love me. Like, this is what's going to happen to you. And so she rolls him over, lays a burlap sack down, rolls him back over, rips his shirt off, and pulls out these metal pins and starts doing acupuncture in his stomach. And she's like, this is the most painful area of your gut. And she poisoned him into where his nerves are extra sensitive so he can feel all the pain. She does all that and then just scoots her ass all over his stomach with the pins in there, sticks needles in his eyelids, under his eyes. And it's like showing all of this, and she's like whispering, deeper, 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 kitty, 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 kitty. And then she pulls out a garrote and fucking just saws off his foot in detail. You hear it. They show the whole entire thing, and you see his foot pop off. And it's just, oh my God. And then she goes on to the second foot. And then, right at that point, that's when the torture ends.
That was the end of the spoiler.
And the torture spoiler. So all this is happening, and during his torture, he has like flash scenes where he's like a lot of things come to light. You find out that he like had he stooped the receptionist, and that's why there was always that like this really weird stuff going between them. And then right before like the torture scene is about to like get even creepier, again, oh, I love it. His son, Aoyama's son, comes in, and he is the smartest person in this entire thing. Holy shit. So he comes in, she comes up behind him, and like is about to like attack him, and he sees her, and he's like, I don't know you, and just instantly runs. Like, he sees his dad all fucked up, sees someone that he doesn't even know, and just books it, and is just running away from her, and it's great. So I'm going to stop it there, because I'm not going to spoil what happens at the end, because it's really, really good.
Yeah.
Really, really good. Just know the son was extremely smart, and he's my favorite character in this entire movie. But yeah, so that's Audition. That's my review on Audition. I just think I don't want to say any more about it. Definitely need to see it, especially if you're huge into Japanese horror. This is one of the key movies to see. Couple fun facts about it. When the film was screened at the Rotterdam Film Festival in 2000, it had a record number of walkouts. At the Swiss premiere, someone passed out and needed emergency room attention.
It's just that brutal.
Described by Quentin Tarantino as a true masterpiece, if ever there was one, in a video discussing his favorite films released between 1992 and 2009. Heavy metal musician and horror movie director-actor Rob Zombie admitted he found this movie to be the most creepy and unsettling of any horror movie he's ever watched. The music video for the first single of My Chemical Romance, Honey, the Mirror Isn't Big Enough for the Two of Us, had a very similar storyline to the movie, but with a different ending. And included among this movie is included among the 1001 movies you must see before you die, by Steven Schneider.
Mm-hmm. You can catch Audition right now if you want to watch it yourself on Amazon Prime for $2.99 for rent, or Vudu for $2.99.
So, oh yeah, sorry. I just wanted to just like jump on one more thing. I didn't go about any of the dream sequences in this movie because those are the reasons why all these guys are saying these things. Were the last dream sequences in the last half hour, and I didn't want to go into detail because you gotta see them for yourself. I
think we've given enough good detail about it.
I know. I just wanted to go over I didn't want to like go into detail for the dream sequences.
You're totally cool.
This was a long one.
This was a long one. Oh, I'll try during edit. I'll try to cut out as much of the filler as possible.
But
with that being said, thank you for tuning in again. Yeah. But before we give our whole spiel, I want to give a big, huge thank you again out to all of you for supporting us and being listeners of us and just fans of us and being so motivating for us for getting us past 100 episodes.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys a lot. We can't thank you enough. If it wasn't for you, for all of you listeners, we wouldn't be here doing this.
Right. We're talking about kind of trying to figure out something we could do for all the listeners to thank all of you for just being amazing. And more will come of that as the time passes on. Mm-hmm. But we want to figure out a really good reward, something that we can actually deliver on and that you would really like. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, to stay tuned with that, and what we're going to do, the best way to do it is to like us and follow us on Facebook at Punk Rock Horror Podcast, or on our Twitter, official PRHP, or
On Instagram, Punk Rock Horror Podcast, hashtag PRHP Podcast.
You can also follow me at The Undead Matt on Instagram. You also can check out our website on punkrockhorrorpodcast.com. Please check out our other store called Punk Rock Horror Store. That's the one where we partner with Aethers Oath, and we put those products up. We also still brought up our Teespring again. We figured out the issues that we're having with it, but we brought it back up. It's running again, so you can go back and get officially dedicated merch that we make ourselves on Teespring. That is the difference between both those stores. All those links will be below. If you want to consider supporting the show, please go to our Patreon, patreon.com/punkrockhorrorpodcast. While you're at it, please also check out Gorehound's Playground. Give them a like and follow on Facebook if you're out of state or a little too far away. But if you're near town, if you're near Gorehound's, please come check it out. Get yourself a good horror movie and just hang out. Talk to Jeff. He knows a lot about horror. Probably knows more than we do, honestly.
Yeah, he'll give you some good recommendations. He's helped me out with a lot of my movies for these reviews.
Yeah. Shout out to our music producer, Big Boot Studio. Please check out Big Boot Studio on Instagram. Link is in the description. Our artist, Megan, Aethers Oath, for being an amazing clothing group. And thank you to all of you ghouls, gals, creeps, mutants alike for continuing to be amazing and just fantastic overall. That being said, we will talk about horror with you next time.
And remember to scare the establishment.
Do it.
Do it.